We are live. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Just want to give a few people some time to get in here before we get started. Come on in. And when you come in here, hit the like button and share this video. You want to share it because sharing is caring. Yes. Come on in. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Come on in. Come on in. Because we live. We are live. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, and welcome back to the live show. It's been a while since I've been live on Thursday. I was doing my Thursday 12, what was I calling it? My Thursday noon lives or something like that. 12 o'clock lives, noon lives, something like that I was calling it. It's been over a month since I've come live on a Thursday. And first, let me say, before I get all the way into things, please forgive my tardiness. I apologize for the delay. I was supposed to come on here at 12, but I was having some technical difficulties over here. And so now that I got all of that straightened out, I am here. And I want to call this segment, You've got questions, I've got answers. Okay. So a few days ago, before I get into that, those of you that don't know me, I'm your host. My name is Letitia Campbell. My channel name, I go by your favorite hair Dr. Tish. And on this channel, I will be speaking about all things hair. So anything that is related to hair in terms of the chemistry of hair and, everything else in between, that's what I'll be discussing on this channel. So that is for those of you that aren't familiar with this channel and, aren't familiar with me. So with that being said, hello, Nicole. How you doing? So I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina, Nicole. That's where I'm located. But let's get into what today's video is about. So a few days ago, I wrote a post. I did a post on my community tab. And on my community tab, I was asking for people that's interested in, just hair and things related to hair, that they could ask any question. And in turn, I'm going to go live and answer those questions. So I put that post up a few days ago on my community tab. And in addition to that, I sent out a text message to some of my friends and family and asked them to do the same thing. So I got a lot of good questions here that you guys have sent out to me. And I hope that by the time I'm done with this video, I would have explained the things that you want to know in enough detail, or I hope that I have explained it so that you can thoroughly understand. But if not, hey, listen, my channel is not going anywhere. That's what I'm here for. So I could do another one of these lives on something that you may not have understood and you want me to dive deeper into it. I can do that too. Because right now, today, some of these questions are really deep, and I go into, detail on some of them, maybe a little bit more than I do with others, because I'm that kind of person that when I'm explaining something, I really, really want the person who is listening to me to really grasp it, take it in and really understand it. So I do go into a little bit more detail on some questions, but then some questions I don't. It's kind of like surface, you know? So, but we're going to get into it. I'm having my detox tea. This is my first time having that flavor. Can't remember what flavor it is, but it tastes pretty good. It tastes pretty good. It tastes pretty good. Hey, Day Renee. Let me put on my magnifying glasses. That's what I call. This is what I call these. I call these magnifying glasses. Y'all look, and don't laugh at me, because one of my handles came off. I'm so rough when it comes to my glasses. Like, I always break glasses. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But it's because I'm so rough, and I start, like, when I take them off, I'm just like yanking them off instead of being gentle with it. So anyway, let me put on my magnifying glasses, and that's it. The people that have questions for me in the chat, I'm gonna wait until I'm done with this, or maybe I'll go answer the questions like in between. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'm definitely gonna answer your questions if you have questions in the chat too. And if I don't get a chance to answer it on today's live, then I'll do it on another live, okay? But y'all just bear with me, just give me a chance. I'm gonna make the screen big, so therefore I won't be able to see any comments as of now. But so I'm going to start with the first question. I'm going to start my little notes here, and let me make sure I have it in the right order. So this is this, there's that, and there's that. Okay, so the first question came from Monique, and Monique's question was, how do you treat alopecia? Monique wants to know, how do you treat alopecia? So this is one of those questions that for me, I had to go into some details, and I had to go a little bit deeper into details on this question because it's a loaded question and I can't just answer it one way. Okay. So how do you treat alopecia? First of all, alopecia in simple terms means hair loss of hair. That's it. That's all. A lot of people think that when you, a lot of people think that alopecia is, how can I put this? I'm trying to figure out how can I put this in layman's terms. You know what? I'm going to get back to that. Let me go into alopecia. So like I said, alopecia is basically hair loss, period, point blank. Now with alopecia, there's different types of alopecia, right? And because there's different types of alopecia, there's no one way to treat it because you have different types, and different types need different types of treatment, right? So I'm going to go over the different types of alopecia, and then Monique, I don't know if by the time I finish going over the different types of alopecia and what causes them, I don't know if this is going to help you or whatever, but we can talk more about that behind the scenes. So the different types of alopecia is you have cicatricial alopecia. Cicatricial alopecia, cicatricial is how you pronounce it, and it's spelled CICITRICIAL, cicatricial alopecia. Now, that type of alopecia is permanent damage. There's no reversing cicatricial alopecia. Your hair can never grow back from that type of alopecia. Now, all alopecia, different types of alopecia are not created equal, obviously, because I'm right now telling you guys about a type of alopecia where your hair cannot grow. So cicatricial alopecia, another name for it is scarring alopecia. And as I stated before, once you get this type of alopecia, that's it. That's permanent damage. Hair cannot grow back. Okay. Now, the different causes of cicatricial alopecia would be things like, it could be things like the chemicals, like hair relaxers, burns, chemical burns, like I said, hair relaxers. Those are different things that can cause cicatricial alopecia. And the way that the cicatricial alopecia look, that's the type of alopecia that's normally, in fact, I'm gonna show you guys a picture. That is the type of alopecia that is normally like, it's in the top of your head, like in the middle of your head, and it's really smooth and shiny, that type of alopecia. I want to show you guys a picture of what I'm talking about really quick. The cicatricial alopecia. I'm getting these pictures from my workbook from the hair loss school that I went to. But this is it right here. That's what cicatricial alopecia looks like. Okay? So again, that type of alopecia is permanent damage. Hair cannot grow back when you have that type of alopecia. Next, we have androgenic alopecia. Androgenic alopecia is a genetic type of alopecia. So this usually comes from, different genes, and it can come from your mom or your dad. So it doesn't matter. It can come from both parties, right? So androgenic alopecia, this type of alopecia is caused by a chemical that's in our body called dihydrotestosterone, right? And the acronyms for dihydrotestosterone is DHT. Now, what happens is when our body breaks down the testosterone, it becomes DHT. And so that DHT, what it does is it travels through your body and your bloodstream, and it attaches itself to the androgen receptors in your scalp. And so the androgen receptors is located in the hair follicle, which is located in the hair follicle. And in the hair follicle, you have what you call a dermal papilla. So inside of the dermal papilla are the androgen receptors. Those androgen receptors are producing oxygen, blood, and nutrients to your hair follicle. So when that DHT attaches itself to those androgen receptors, which is producing the oxygen and the food and oxygen, nutrition, and blood that your hair needs in order to grow, it stops, it shrinks the hair follicle, and then the hair starts to grow really fine and thin. So with that type of alopecia, the androgenic alopecia, the best way to treat that, because your hair can grow back from that type of alopecia. Now, are you gonna grow back a hair full of hair? In some cases you will, in some cases you won't. I really can't say because I haven't done my own personal research and studies on this as of yet, which I do plan on doing at some point in time. So the ways that you can grow your hair back with this type of alopecia is you can use products, or you can even take, they have like it's, I guess you can call it like a hair vitamin or something like that, and it's a pill, and it's called DHT blockers. So when you use the hair products, or take a pill that has a DHT blocker in it, the hair products has to have a DHT blocker in it, and the specific type of pills that you would take for this situation, they have DHT blockers in it. And what they're doing is they're preventing the DHT from attaching itself to the androgen, the androgen receptors. And it's just basically blocking it from from attaching itself, which is going to cause your hair to fall out. Okay, so that's that. So we went over cicatricial, and now we're going to go over we went over the androgenic alopecia, and now we're going to go over diffuse areata. So diffuse alopecia is another type of alopecia, and it's also known as alopecia areata. Now, the alopecia areata, or diffuse alopecia, this is caused by autoimmune diseases such as hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, or it could be rheumatoid arthritis. You could have scleroderma, lupus. These different types of diseases causes you to have the diffuse alopecia. Oh, real quick, I wanted to go back to the I forgot to say that for the androgenic alopecia that I was just telling you guys about, laser treatments are also a good thing to do with the androgenic alopecia. Okay, now back to diffuse alopecia and alopecia areata. So like I said, the different things that cause this type of alopecia, it could be lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, and there's also something called mixed connective tissue, and hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. So the difference between hypothyroidism is that your thyroid glands are underactive, and with the hyperthyroidism, your thyroid glands are overactive. So these different types of autoimmune diseases will cause diffuse alopecia. And today I'm not going to go deep into the autoimmune diseases and how they work and how they, what they do and all that, because if I do that, this live would be extremely long and I won't get through all these questions. But I just wanted to go over each type of alopecia and, just give you guys an overview of alopecia. Not because the topic alopecia, that could be like a whole nother live in itself. So anyway, so that was the diffuse alopecia, or you can call it alopecia areata. Next, we have traction alopecia, and most of us that's watching this is probably familiar with traction alopecia. And with the traction alopecia, that's basically when you've been wearing braids too tight. And, a lot of us as African American women, we know a lot of us have experienced that. And once you see those edges is looking like they like really thin and you like really bald around the edges and stuff like that, and you know that you've been wearing a lot of ponytails, tight ponytails, braids, tight braids, the cornrows that's like really pulling your edges, that that's where that come from. So most of the time you can just, some types of alopecia, you can just say, okay, I know this is what happened with that. And this is one of those types of alopecia that, we pretty much know that that's where it come from. But sometimes when people have thinning edges, that could be the androgenic alopecia, which is the alopecia that is caused by, genetics. So that was the traction alopecia. So we went over cicatricial, areata, androgenic, diffuse. What else we need to go over? And we just went over traction. So with each one of these types of alopecia that I just went over with you guys, all of them except for cicatricial alopecia can be treated with any type of topical treatment along with laser treatments. And the thing about hair loss is this: it doesn't happen overnight. This is something that has been a gradual process. So I'm saying that because if you're a person out there that suffers with any type of hair loss outside of cicatricial alopecia, and you want to grow hair back, you have to take the necessary steps to do so. And you have to be patient because it's not going to happen overnight, because the hair loss didn't happen overnight. So don't expect it to happen overnight. It's going to take a series of treatments, whether you go to your dermatologist and they give you injections, or if you go to a certified trichologist and they offer the laser treatments. So there's that. Monique, I hope that I answered your question. I know I went really deep into it, but I hope that I answered your question, Monique. And if it did not answer it thoroughly, you have my phone number. You can call me. Okay, so what are we going to go over next? Okay. Next up is Selena. Selena says, why does my hair grow a certain length? Hold on, let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section. Okay. I'm going to get to your questions in the comment section a little later on, so I'm not ignoring you guys. Selena says, why does my hair only grow a certain length? So there's so many aspects to hair growth, okay? And what I mean is when I say so many aspects, there's so many factors that's involved when it comes to hair growth. But I'm going to answer this question specifically. She wants to know, why does my hair only grow a certain length? So scientists believe that genetics play a role in why your hair only grows to a certain length. So the thing about hair growth is this: there's this first phase that's called the anagen phase. That phase of hair growth is the phase where it's the most active, right? So, and what I mean by it being the most active is because of how much length of time it stays in that phase. Okay? The anagen phase can last from 1 year up to 10 years. Some scientists may say it could last up to 7 years, some say 8 years, but it can last, we're going to give it a wider range. We're going to go with the wider range that I've seen or that I've read about, and that is 10 years. So, with that being said, when the hair is in that phase of growing, you got to figure out how can you keep it in that phase longer, because the longer it's in that phase, the longer the hair can grow. And I did a video on that, and later on in this live, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that video when I get to the next question that is pertaining to that. So, as I was saying, the longer your hair is in the first phase of hair growth, which is the anagen phase, the longer your hair can grow. So the key to that is figuring out how to keep your hair in that phase longer. Now, when I say that some scientists believe that it is hereditary, what they're saying is it's hereditary how long each person's hair stays in that anagen phase. So the length of time that your hair is staying in that phase, that's determined by genetics. But I believe that we can do things to manipulate that and manipulate it to stay in that phase of hair growth longer. Okay? So I hope that answered your question, Selena. Selena also wants to know, how do you feel about wigs? How do I feel about wigs? Personally, I don't like them. I don't like them for me. I've tried wearing wigs one time, and it just didn't work out for me. I didn't like the way that the wig looked on me, so I decided not to wear wigs. And I probably wore a wig maybe once or twice during that time, and I just never did it again. Anyway, now as far as wigs, the type of wigs that they're wearing today, the only problem I have with those type of wigs, those which are the lace front wigs, is the fact that the glue that they're using to lay the lace down, I feel like that's a problem for our edges, that can pull out your edges over time. I mean, it could be a situation where the person that's getting their wigs installed, they're getting it installed by a stylist, and maybe they're removing it properly. But anytime you keep putting glue on the same spot over and over and over again, no matter how good you're removing it, it can still, I feel like still over time, that glue is just taking off some hair, pulling that hair out. So I don't like them for that reason. I feel like if you're going to wear a lace front wig, you should be able to take it off each night. If you're going to wear any type of wig, I feel like you should be able to take them off each night so that your hair can breathe. You know what I mean? I know we wear our scarves on our heads at nighttime and stuff like that, but there's a difference between a wig and a scarf. I mean, this wig, what are they putting underneath the wig that's on your hair? And it's just on your hair. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about all those things. I think wigs are good for bad hair days. You know what I'm saying? Like some of us may have a bad hair day, and you just want to slap a wig on. Go ahead and slap the wig on. I think they're good for when you want to wear your protective styles. If you have your hair, your natural hair, like in some cornrows or something like that, and when you want to wear your wig instead of wearing your hair out, I think they're good for that too. I just don't like the lace front wigs because of what they do to your edges. And then the other thing is, everybody look the same. I'd be like, why y'all all want to look alike? Is beyond me. Like it's just crazy. So the next question I have, I'm going to go to my phone and read that question because, hold on one second. So the next question is, all right. Did I put that paper over here? Y'all bear with me. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. I'm making sure I got my stuff in order. I like organization, y'all. So y'all bear with me. Okay. So the next question is, when you have health issues such as hypothyroidism, what measures can I take to make sure my hair continues to maintain healthy growth? Okay, so we talked about hypothyroidism earlier in the video when I was talking about the different types of alopecia. And the diffuse / areata alopecia is the type of alopecia that you get when you have hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism is, as I explained earlier, an underactive thyroid glands, right? That is an underactive thyroid gland. So this person wants to know what measures can they take to make sure that their hair continues to maintain healthy growth. So I wrote down some things here, the different measures you can take when it comes to maintaining healthy hair growth with hypothyroidism. Number 1, you want to boost your iron intake. Number 2, you can treat your nutritional deficiencies. So you may need to take more vitamins and minerals. That means add more vitamins and minerals to your diet. Number 3, you want to eat well. So when it comes to eating well, I'm talking about more intake of green leafy vegetables, tomatoes, fatty fish such as salmon and mackerel, fruit, your berries and things like that, because those foods are going to combat inflammation. So you want to add more inflammatory foods to your diet. So those are the things that you want to do in order to continue to grow healthy hair. You want to boost your iron intake, treat the nutritional deficiency, eat a healthy diet. Like I said, green leafy vegetables like spinach, collards, kale, anything that's green and leafy, you want to, just like eat more of that. Tomatoes, fatty fish such as salmon and mackerel, and your fruit intake should include like berries and strawberries and stuff like that. Also, you want to consider herbs, try essential oils on your hair, and in addition to that, watch your iodine intake. Okay, so those are the things you need to do for that. I hope that was helpful for you, Miss Selena. Now, let's move on to the next question. In fact, I'm going to look in the chat and read some questions in the chat before I continue so that I can keep up with the chat as well as what I have on these pieces of paper in front of me. Okay. So, Miss Nicole Holly says, how do I go about telling my beautician to not comb my roots to the ends on dry hair? How do you go about telling her? You just tell her. You just tell her. So basically, what she's doing is she's combing your hair starting at the roots. You just tell her, listen, this is not um, healthy for my hair. You're damaging my hair by combing it this way. And, you just explain to her that if she start on the ends of your hair instead of the roots, what she's doing is loosening up the roots as she's combing up your hair shaft. So you just let her know that she's causing damage to your hair. She's going to be probably more than likely she's going to excuse me, y'all. More than likely she's causing your ends to be split. So you just want to explain that to her. I mean, I guess you don't want to say it in a way like, so and so, please don't comb my hair like that. You probably don't want to be rude like that, or you probably don't want to, you just don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers or make her feel like you know more than what she knows or whatever the case may be. But I wouldn't worry about that. I would just tell her, just tell her straight up, like, can you start combing my hair from the ends and work your way up? And as far as the hair being dry, you can just tell her, can you just mist it with a little bit of leave-in conditioner or mist it with a little bit of water or something like that before she actually start combing your hair. Listen, I have clients that will tell me straight up what to do and what not to do to their hair. And for me, if it's something that I know I'm not doing wrong, then I will tell them, from my perspective, my professional opinion and my professional perspective, that I'm doing it the right way. That's how I handle that. Okay, so now we have one more question in the chat. Sorry. So Tanya says, what should I use on my hair to moisturize it? For moisture, it's this product by Mizani. It's called H2O. They got one that's called H2O, and Mizani also has another one that's called Mizani Night Cream. You can put that on your hair each and every night, like maybe like a dime size or even a nickel size should be okay. That's what I would do with that. Okay, so let's go to the next question that I have in front of me, and I'm gonna get out of the chat. Hey, Shara B, how you doing? Welcome to the live, and welcome to the live, Tanya. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm gonna go to the next question that I have in front of me. So this question is coming from Rima, and Rima wants to know, do we need to add oils to our hair or scalp? All right. So let's talk about it, because as far as adding oil to your hair, I would say definitely we need to add oil to our hair, because in terms of moisture, your hair thrives off of moisture. Okay. Well, that's one of the ways that your hair thrives, is that's your hair being moisturized. Another way that your hair thrives is by being clean. Okay. So let's talk about why we should moisturize our hair. outside of the fact that it helps it to grow. The other reason why we should moisturize our hair is because it's going to prevent split ends. When your hair is like really dry and brittle, you're going to have split ends. So keeping your hair moisturized is definitely important. As far as your scalp, we don't need to add oil to our scalp, but you can. A lot of people promote the fact that if you put oil on your scalp, that is going to clog your pores and things like that. And I think that when it comes to that, the only way your pores are going to be clogged is if you're overdoing it with the oil. Now, some people may think that because they have a dry scalp, or they, better yet, not a dry scalp, because they have flakes, they think that putting oil is going to combat those flakes. But that's far from the truth. The thing that's going to combat your scalp from having flakes is shampooing it. That is an indication that you need to clean your scalp. Period. That's not an indication that you need to put oil on your scalp, because dandruff is just a fungus. And I'm not going to get all into that. I have to get into that in a whole nother video. That's another thing that is like really deep. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But as I was saying, the bottom line is you don't want to be just caking oil or grease on your scalp. Just caking it up. Because, yeah, you will clog the follicles. How is your scalp going to breathe if it's just caked up with grease and oil? First of all, our scalp produces a natural oil called sebum. So you really don't have to put oil on your scalp. I never oil my scalp. I don't oil my scalp. I don't. As I stated, a flaky, dry-looking scalp is an indication that your hair needs to be shampooed, not apply oil. Okay? And the best type of shampoo to use for those types of situations are like medicated shampoos, anti-itch shampoos, anything that has, like minty or peppermint, or, they have Paul Mitchell, they have a dry and itchy scalp shampoo that I love. So that's what that's an indication of. So to answer that question, do we need to add oil to our hair and scalp? Yes, we need to add oil to our hair shaft. No, we don't need to add oil to our scalps. And as far as the reason why we need to add oil to our hair shaft is especially or specifically the Black African American textured hair. The natural oil that's produced, that's called sebum. When you have textured hair, meaning curly hair or coily hair or kinky hair, when you have that type of hair, the curls and the coils are so tightly closed that, let's say this is your scalp and the oil is being produced. It can't travel freely. It can't travel freely down the hair shaft because it's so tightly coiled. But when you're Caucasian or even Asian and you have straight hair, guess what's happening? That oil called sebum in your scalp is flowing freely down the hair shaft. So I believe that that's one reason why their hair grows as long as it does, because it's staying moisturized with that oil. That oil. And that's why they shampoo their hair every day. But what they really don't realize or know is that it's okay for their hair. It works to their best interest when their hair is oily, because our hair needs oil. It needs moisture. The other thing is Afro textured hair. The tighter the curls or the tighter the coils is more susceptible to breakage. So oil, oil is your best friend. I'm telling you. Okay. So Aisha want me to go over the growth process. And I was thinking about playing the video. I think that's what I'm going to do, because some people didn't see that video. And in that video, I'm talking about the growth process. Let me read some more questions in the chat. Lucille Renee says, my gray hair is so dry. Help, doctor, please. Moisture, Lucille. You have to add moisture to that hair. Okay. Latanya says, how do we thicken up fine hair? Is it in our diet or something that we can use? That's a good question, Latanya. Latanya wants to know, how can you thicken up fine hair? Okay, Latanya. Let me say this. So hair comes in three textures. You have medium, coarse, and fine. Okay? In a nutshell, if you were born with fine hair, you're just going to have fine hair. If you were born with coarse hair, you're just going to have coarse hair. If you were born with medium textured hair, you're going to have medium textured hair. There really isn't anything that you can do to change the texture of your hair. That's just something that it can't be changed. If your hair is fine, then your hair is most likely going to always be fine. And again, hair textures, just like other things when it comes to our hair, is genetics. So more than likely, the people in your family, whether it's your mom or your mom's side, or your dad's side, more than likely they have thin hair as well, or fine hair. Not thin, but fine. Because having thin hair and fine hair is two different things, and that's a whole nother topic too. Okay. So I'm gonna go to, let's go here really quick, because I want to play that video for you guys, the one that Aisha asked a question about. And Aisha wanted me to go over the growth phase. And so I'm going to play the video. It's only 8 minutes. I'm not going to play the entire video because that is a long time, and I don't want to be on here playing videos like that, but I do want to play it so that you guys can see it. I'm only going to play the part where I actually go over the growth phase. I'm going to kind of like skip ahead in that video. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to go here. All right. Let's skip this commercial. Y'all don't be skipping my commercials when y'all watching my videos, okay? Please do me a favor and watch my commercials too. Okay. Tap that notification bell next to it. Comment, share here. You can go ahead and check that video out with hair follicle. And in the hair follicle, so hair grows in 3 phases. And it begins in the hair follicle. And in the hair follicle, we have what you call a dermal papilla. The dermal papilla is where we get our nutrients, oxygen, and blood supply to our hair strands. So, with that being said, we all are familiar with the term, we are what we eat. And that term holds true for more than just our body. It also holds true for our hair, because depending on what we eat and how our diet is, it's going to determine the growth process of our hair. There are 3 phases of hair growth, as I stated before, and those 3 phases is the anagen phase, the catagen phase, and the telogen phase. Now, the anagen phase is the first step or the first process of hair growth. This phase can last from 1 year up to 6 years. Some scientists will say that it can last for about 7 years. Some will say 8 years. Some would even say 10 years. There's different factors that will cause this anagen phase to last for 1 to 10 years, or 1 to 6 years, or 1 to 7 years. And the factors that involved in that is, number 1, hereditary. Hereditary factors play a huge role in how long the anagen phase is going to last. And as I stated before, because our hair is supplied with nutrients and blood supply and oxygen through our dermal papilla, it is important that we have a healthy diet. So depending on what your diet is, you can encourage your anagen phase. Remember, I talked about this earlier on when I was going over the question about, what was the question? I think it was the question about alopecia, if I'm not mistaken. And that on that question, I was basically explaining to you guys how to keep the hair growth phase in the anagen phase. Hair growth to stay in that phase for longer than 1 year. And the longer that it stays in that phase, guess what happens? Leave me a comment in the comment section if you know what happens if you eat healthy, drink plenty of water. Let me see who can guess the question, guess the answer. Right. Your hair will grow longer. The longer it is in the anagen phase, the longer the hair can grow. The next phase of hair growth is the catagen phase. Now, this phase is the transition phase. And in this phase, the hair actually stops growing and becomes detached from the base of the hair follicle. The transition phase lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks. Remember, I spoke about the hair staying in that anagen phase for as long as it could, because what happens is once it goes into the catagen phase, which is the transition phase, it stops growing. So if you could keep it in that anagen phase as long as you can, that is a wonderful, wonderful thing, especially if you want to have long hair, because the growth process stops and it starts all over again once you get to the last phase, which I'm going to get into right now, and that is the telogen phase. The telogen phase is the resting phase. This lasts for about 3 to 4 months. Once this phase is over, the hair is going to be shed. It's going to shed from the scalp during this phase, and then it starts all over again, right back at the anagen phase. Okay, so let's recap. Hair grows in 3 phases, which is the anagen, the catagen, and the telogen phase. And hair growth begins in the hair follicle, and the dermal papilla is located in the hair follicle where the hair is going to get its oxygen, nutrients, and blood supply. There was one other thing that I didn't mention to you guys that. Okay, so that's it for that. Let me get X out of here and get back to these questions. So I hope that explained hair growth, Aisha. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about hair growth? If not, we can keep on going. And again, like I said, Aisha, I hope that video that we just watched here helped you in, with your question about the growth phase. So, just to recap one more time, although we did just watch the video, I do want to say this one more time while on live on here. The hair growth has 3 phases: the anagen, catagen, and telogen phase. The anagen phase is the first phase. It could last up to 10 years, from 1 to 10 years. That's the most active time. The second phase is the catagen phase, which is the transition phase. It can last for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then you have the telogen phase, which is the resting phase. And that phase lasts for about 3 to 4 months. And in that phase, once it's over, the hair detaches itself, and then it starts all over again. All right. So Aisha also says, I make this oil, and I noticed when I stopped using it, my hair didn't grow as much. Okay, so in that statement that you made, or that question, the key words there was when you said, my hair didn't grow as much. So that tells me that when you stop using the oils that you're making, that you still did experience some hair growth. Now let's go back to what I was saying when I answered Rima's question, and that was, should we add oil to our hair or scalp? Our hair thrives off of being moisturized. So therefore, when you stopped using the oil, it didn't grow as much because your hair wasn't moisturized enough. So I would say go back to using the oils if you want to continue to see that type of hair growth. And just keep the moisture on your hair. You got to keep your hair moisturized. I'm telling you guys, like, I can't stress it enough that our hair needs moisture. Our hair need moisture in order to grow and thrive. Well, that's one of the things that contributes to hair growth. I hope that answered your question, Aisha. Keisha wants to know, what product do you recommend for hair breakage? So the products I recommend for hair breakage, I love ApHogee. Like, when my clients are experiencing any type of shedding or breakage or anything like that, or even if I just want to maintain the strength of the hair, I use ApHogee. Like, I love it. I love ApHogee. And ApHogee, they have it's a 2-step protein treatment. And what you would do is after you shampoo your hair with the ApHogee shampoo or whatever a shampoo of your choice, a sulfate-free one. After you do that, you will apply the actual protein all throughout your hair, sit under the dryer without a plastic cap for about 15 minutes. Rinse that out thoroughly, then apply the balancing moisturizer. And this treatment only has to be done every 6 to 8 weeks. Once you start to notice that there's no more breakage or shedding, you can ease up on the usage of that. A person whose hair is pretty healthy and is not experiencing any breakage or shedding or anything like that, I would recommend that you do a protein treatment maybe, I don't know, 2-3 times a year. Something like that. Maybe once at the top of the year and then once in the middle of the year. So yes, ApHogee. And the other treatment that I like is Mizani. And Mizani has a treatment. It's a strengthening treatment. It's an intense strengthening treatment, and it's called Kerafuse. And the way that you use the Kerafuse is you would use it with a tint brush. Tint brush are those brushes that stylists or colorists use to apply color. So you would apply it on your hair from root to ends in sections as if you're applying a relaxer or if you parting your hair to like grease someone's scalp or whatever. That's how you apply that. You put a plastic hat and sit under the dryer for, I think, either 10 or 15 minutes. I'm not really sure what the time frame is for the Mizani, the Kerafuse. So those are my 2 top treatments that I would recommend for shedding and breakage. ApHogee, the protein, the 2-step protein treatment, and the Mizani Kerafuse, which is an intense treatment. So Keisha also says, how often should your ends be cut or clipped? I would recommend every 6 to 8 weeks to trim your ends. Or if you're a person that keep your hair in protective styles, in my opinion, you don't have to trim your ends as much because your hair isn't out being manipulated or, touched and, just combed and brushed and stuff like that on a regular basis. So, if you wear braids a lot, then you don't have to trim your ends as often. You can trim your ends like, I don't know, 2-3 times a year or 4 times a year. That's if you're wearing protective styles most of the time. Now, if your hair is out and it's being manipulated by a comb or your fingers or a brush or whatever the case may be, then I would recommend that you trim your ends every 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? Keisha also says, how do I improve my thinning edges? This may be, she said, how can I improve my thinning edges? Okay, so again, thinning edges, it could be coming from a number of things. It could be that it's hereditary, and the technical term for hair loss around the edges is androgenic alopecia. Okay, it's androgenic. So again, androgenic alopecia is hereditary. And situations like that can be improved by using any type of DHT blockers, topical treatments that have DHT blockers in it, in addition to, going to your dermatologist or a trichologist and getting like laser treatments or injections. I'm not sure what they do at the dermatologist's office when it comes to like, hair loss and, thinning hair and stuff like that. But I do know that trichologists offer laser treatments. So that would be a good thing to do as well. And keep your hair clean, your scalp clean, healthy diet, nutrition. It plays such a major role in healthy hair and healthy skin. Such a major role. People don't understand how major it is to maintain a healthy diet in order to have a head full of healthy growing hair, and for your skin to be vibrant and still have a lot of collagen in it and stuff like that. Like, your diet is so important to all of these things. All right. Let's see what everybody is saying in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. So Latanya says, okay, doctor, let me throw this at you. How can we prevent fine hair becoming thin? Is it in our diet or something we can use? Well, how can you prevent fine hair from becoming thin? Well, the hair gets thin from a lot of different reasons. Thinning hair could be an onset of alopecia, because when your hair starts to become thin, like if you start seeing like certain areas of your hair where it's not as much hair in that area as it used to be, that is like an early sign of an onset of alopecia. So most alopecia is the most common, I should say. The most common type of alopecia is androgenic alopecia. And as I explained earlier, that type of alopecia is hereditary. So depending on genetics, it's almost something that's inevitable to happen, to where your hair is going to start thinning, right? However, like I said, there are topical treatments with DHT blockers in them, and there's laser treatments. These are things that can be done if you know that you have a history in your family of people having thin hair or thin edges. You can be proactive by doing things to try to prevent it. I'm not saying that it will definitely prevent the hair from becoming thin or thinning out. I'm saying that you can try that to see if that would work. I hope that answered your question. Another way to combat your hair becoming thin, your fine hair from becoming thin, is just the way that you treat it. Meaning, the tugging and the pulling that you may do on it and things like that. Certain chemicals like relaxers and hair dyes and stuff like that. So these are things that you can not do in order for your hair to not become thin. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. Latanya also says, and can you have alopecia on one side of your hair and not on the other? Or is there something else going on that is not alopecia? Maybe you laying on one side more than the other. Okay. You can definitely have alopecia on one side of your head and not the other. Like, it could be like in little patches in different areas, but that would be a certain type of alopecia now. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here early, Latanya, but there's different types of alopecia. So yeah, you can definitely have like a patch here, and maybe you won't see a patch of baldness, or you might see a patch of baldness here, or you may see a patch here and no patch here. Sometimes you'll have a patch behind your ear and no patch on this side. So it just depends. I have some pictures. Let me show you guys some pictures of different types of alopecia. These are like different types. So this picture right here, this is a woman who this is alopecia areata. And the alopecia areata is the alopecia, excuse me, that's caused by autoimmune diseases. So that's what that looks like little patches, a little patch behind your ear. And then here's another picture. So here's a picture of a lady who was suffering with alopecia areata, and then you have this is like before pictures and after pictures. So this was her hair before, and then that was her hair after. That was after treatment. She was actually in a treatment program. So again, like I said to you all, growing the hair back is not an overnight process. I'm not sure how long that lady was in the treatment program. And I'm also not sure all what her trichologist did to get her hair to grow back. I'm not sure of everything that she did. So, some trichologists may just have their client come in and just get the laser treatments. And some of them may have their clients come in and do a whole full treatment where they shampoo, condition, moisturize, in addition to sitting them under the laser for the laser treatments. Okay. I hope that was helpful, Latanya. Sherry Brown. So this one comes from Sherry Brown, this question. And this question says, having gray hair that has been dyed with a rinse, now considering getting sister locks. What should I do about my hair color? Should I decide to get sister locks? Now, as far as the hair color, I really can't tell you what to do about your hair color, but I'm going to give you my opinion on dyeing gray hair. I don't think you're going to like this, but I'm going to tell you anyway my opinion on it. It's a waste of time and money. Let me sip my tea. Tea is cold right now, so now instead of hot tea, I got iced tea. Mm-hmm. But dyeing your gray hair, in my opinion, is a waste of time and money because there's new growth. There's that thing called new growth. And guess what? The new growth is going to be gray. So just embrace it. That's what I think that you should do with your gray hair. But that's my opinion. Now, she want to know, should she decide to get sister locks? Now, first, I want to talk about the difference between sister locks and regular locks. So sister locks There's an interlocking method, right? And it can't be combed out. And they're smaller than regular locks. So with that being said, it depends on what type of look you're going for. I like sister locks. I mean, not sister locks. I like the regular locks better than I like the sister locks. So if I ever decided to lock my hair, I would be going for the regular locks as opposed to the sister locks. Okay. Um, the other thing about sister locks is, like I said, they're really small. They kind of resemble, I don't know, I think they resemble like really small, like fine braids. Um, again, they use the interlocking method and they can't be combed out. Now with regular locks, they can be done by twisting your hair either in a coil, or it can be done in 2-strand twists. In addition to those two types of twists, they can also be done by braiding your hair. So I have a girlfriend who just braided her hair in a bunch of box braids, and she just never took the braids out. She just let it lock up. Now with the regular locks, you can comb those out. So if you ever wanted to unlock your hair and keep its length, I would suggest you doing regular locks. With sister locks, if you decide that you don't want them anymore, you're stuck with them, or you just have to cut your hair off to the new growth, or wherever the new growth stops. What else with sister locks? So that's just like a personal preference, Sherry. If you like thinner looking locks like the sister locks, then go for it. And if you're okay with not being able to um, comb them out, if you ever get tired of them, go for it. If you're okay with how fine and small they are, go for it. Again, that is a personal preference. What else did Sherry have to say? I think that was it that Sherry asked. She just wanted to know if she should dye her gray hair, and she wanted to know if she should get sister locks. So, Sherry, I hope that helped you. And let's move on to Miss Sher B. Sher B says, what are your thoughts of Keratin TX on natural hair, and how do you remove it from your hair? So keratin treatments is basically a treatment that seals and reduces frizziness on natural hair. It is chemicals. However, it's not the type of chemicals that has to grow out. And I could do a whole nother video on what type of chemicals they are and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to go into that. But she wants to know also, so my thoughts on the keratin treatments. I think that if you are a person who has natural hair and it is frizzy and you want to do something less harsh on your hair, then you should definitely go with a keratin treatment. That's what I think. The keratin treatment, again, is good for controlling frizziness, and that's basically what it does. It is a semi-permanent treatment. So with that being said, it acts like a rinse. All you have to do to remove it is shampoo your hair more frequently. Shampoo your hair more frequently, and you will be able to remove the keratin treatment out of your hair eventually. That's how you would do that. What else? I think that was it that Shirley had to ask. Again, Shirley, thanks for asking that question, and I hope that that was helpful. Now we have a question by Dancing by Faith. But before I read Dancing by Faith's question, I'm gonna go inside my chat and see if there's any more questions here. Charlotte says, "Oh no." Yeah, Charlotte. Stop dyeing that gray hair, girl. Latanya says, yes, that was helpful, doctor. Thank you very much. Latanya also says, I don't want to, I just can't. I don't like the grays. The grays make you look older than you look older when you don't look old. Well, like I said, that's a personal preference too, Latanya. If having gray hair is something that you don't want to have and you feel like it makes you look older than you are or older than you want to look, dye them. Dye the gray hair. I don't dye mines. I let mines rock out. I let my gray hair rock out. I don't dye them. All right, so Dancing by Faith says, how to build a hair care regimen. So I always tell people when they want to create a hair care regimen, you got to sit down and decide what day works for you that you can dedicate some time to your hair. And you got to be serious about it, right? So you sit down and you make a decision and you say, okay, Sundays is going to be hair wash day or shampoo day. In fact, it's shampoo day because we don't wash hair, we shampoo hair. I have to tell my students that all the time, but I only said hair wash day to make it relatable to the audience because that's what people usually say when it comes to shampooing their hair. So dedicate a day, think of a day that is going to work for you where you can say, okay, today is going to be shampoo day. And that is a day that you have to stick to and you have to make it a priority. You have to treat that day like it's a day that you're going to take out to study for an exam. You got to treat that day treat it like it's your birthday. you just got to treat that day, make that day a priority. Everything and everybody else comes second to that day. Okay? Everything. Social media, your boyfriend, your husband, your kids. So, and the reason why I said choose the day. What I was going to say is choose your day based on the type of hair that you have. Like some people have like a lot of hair. I mean, like a lot of thick, long hair. So a person like that, they're going to need a day. Literally. So it has to be a day that you can absolutely dedicate that time to. Now, if you're a person who has, medium textured hair and, it's not very long, it may be like neck length or shoulder length, but it's like a medium normal texture and it's not like super, super coarse and super, super thick, like just a whole lot of just big hair. You can pick a day that you don't have to dedicate the whole day to it. You know what I mean? You can just say, on Friday night after I get off from work, I'm going to shampoo my hair. Or you can say on Saturday morning, I'm going to shampoo my hair. And if you are a mom or a wife and you really don't want to say, I'm going to put my kids and my husband to the back burner, then pick a time, a day and time when you know that you can dedicate to your hair without them needing your attention. Okay? So that's how you build a hair care regimen. You just pick a day that works for you, that you pick a day that works for the type of hair that you have, and you stick to the regimen. You pick a time, you pick a day and a time. You say, okay, I'm going to get up at this time on Saturday or Sunday, and I'm going to dedicate 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. or however long it takes you to do your hair to doing that hair care regimen. And that hair care regimen is going to consist of you shampooing it, giving yourself some sort of conditioning treatment, whether it be a conditioner that you're just going to rinse out, or if you're going to do a deep conditioning treatment, you can do that. Once you rinse out your shampoo, you're going to put your leave-in conditioner, put your oils, and style as desired. You can style it wet, you can blow dry it, however you want to do it. And you can do that in between your visits to the salon, because I'm not trying to X out hairstylists, okay? That's not what I'm promoting over here. All the things that I'm talking about are things that you can do to your hair in between salon visits, okay? What else did Dancing by Faith say? She says, is heat trained hair just heat damaged hair? Good question. Good question. I like it. Okay, so essentially, heat trained hair is damaged hair. And the reason why I say that is because the heat, what it did was it disturbed your authentic curl pattern. So if your curl pattern is disturbed, meaning if your curl pattern is now straight, the curl pattern is damaged. Most of the time, there's no going back. You're going to have to keep trimming that hair and, or maybe even cut it if you are a person that isn't afraid to rock short hair, or is not afraid. I wouldn't say afraid, but if you're a person that is confident in rocking short hair, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people isn't confident in the whole short hair thing. And if that's not you, what you do is you just keep taking care of your hair through that process of getting rid of the heat damaged or heat trained hair. And as you're, taking care of that hair, you're trimming as you go. And you can probably trim like every 6 to 8 weeks until you get all of that heat damaged / heat trained hair. My glasses looking lopsided, y'all. Okay, here you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's what you're gonna do with that. You're gonna just, take care of that hair and keep trimming that hair. Dancing by Faith also asked, how can you retain length? So again, I'm going to refer back to the anagen phase. That is one way to retain length, and that is by encouraging your hair to stay in the anagen phase. And how do we encourage our hair to stay in the anagen phase? It starts on the inside, right? It starts on the inside. And with that being said, when I say that, I'm talking about your diet, those green leafy foods that I encourage you to eat. Just nutrients. Your nutrients, pay attention to the amount of nutrition and your nutrients and minerals intake that you have or that you're taking in. Pay attention to that. The other way is to wear protective hairstyles. Protective hairstyles are good because they are helping you to retain length. And the reason why they're helping you to retain length is because you're not constantly combing your hair. You're not manipulating your hair. You're not touching your hair. So when your hair is in a protective style, you will retain length. Okay? So those are two ways to retain length: by encouraging it to stay in the first phase of hair growth, which is the anagen phase, and keeping it, doing protective styles. One more thing: moisture. Moisture, moisture, moisture. Moisture is our hair's best friend. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. Okay, let's see what else y'all talking about in the comment section. Doctor, what is a good gel that don't dry out your hair? I use Eco Styling Gel with the red top, and it's horrible. It dries out your hair, but it holds it down. But it dries out the hair so bad. As far as gels, that's a question that I'm gonna have to get back to you on, LaTanya, only because I'm not familiar with all the different types of gels. But what I will say is this: when choosing a gel or any kind of product, read the ingredients. And if it has any type of alcohol in it, then I would say don't use it, because the alcohol is, drying to your hair. Alcohol is going to be drying to your hair. So, just read the ingredients inside on the package. And if the Eco Styling Gel that you're using is drying your hair out, then stop using it. Don't use it on your hair anymore. Okay? Charlotte says, what's a natural one? So I didn't see that question, Charlotte, until now. And I done talked about so many different things. I don't even know what you're talking about. What's a natural what? You got to let me know in the comment section. Or you can talk to me behind the scenes once I get off this live. And LaTanya also says, I wish I was out in New York. I wish you was in California, because out here in California, stylists don't care about your natural hair. All they care about is the weave, the lace front. That's not just in California, girl. That is not just in California. When I travel to New York City to do hair, I work with other stylists in the salon, obviously. And for the most part, they're doing the lace front wigs. And I never, ever see them treat their clients' hair. In fact, they don't even shampoo their hair. The client has to come with their hair already shampooed and dry and ready for the stylist to just braid it down and slap that wig on with that glue. Okay. So the next question is from Stephanie. I think this is the last one. Yeah. Yep, this is the last question. Stephanie says, explain split ends and how to stop them and making your hair grow again. Also, okay, hold on. Okay, that was another question. Okay, so let me answer this first question. I was about to read her other questions. So she want me to explain split ends and how to stop them and how to make your hair grow healthy. How to make your hair grow healthy again. Okay, so first of all, split ends could be caused by a number of things. And I talked about some of the ways that your hair can be your ends could be split on this video, and that was constant manipulation, like constant rubbing on your hair. That can cause split ends, believe it or not. Combing your hair too rough can cause split ends. If your hair is just dry and not moisturized. So that's another reason why moisture is important for specifically Afro textured hair, because it can cause split ends. Our hair is very, very fragile. I don't think people really understand how fragile our hair is. We think our hair is so strong, but it's not. When you really look at a strand of your hair, look at a strand of your hair, you could look at it and tell like it's not very strong. It's really weak and fragile, and it needs a lot of TLC. If you look at a strand of our hair versus a Caucasian person's strand of hair, our hair easily break. It is very, very fragile. So if you look at their hair compared to our hair, just one strand, you'll see the difference in terms of strength. So Stephanie, that's the reason why our hair splits. It, like I said, rubbing the hair too rough, combing the hair too rough, anything that you're doing rough on your hair is going to cause split ends. Also, flat ironing, straightening, blow drying, curling, heat. Heat causes split ends. And the reason why heat causes split ends is because the outer layer of our hair, which is the cuticle layer, it's affected by two things, and that is either heat. It's affected by temperature. So when you have heat on the cuticles, it's going to open up the cuticles, and the cuticle layer is supposed to be closed in order to keep moisture. So when that hair cuticle is opened, moisture can't stay in. It's just constantly flowing in and out, in and out. Okay, so let's say this is our hair strand, right? And this is the top layer, which is the cuticle layer. And this is the protein strands and bonds on the inside down here. So you got the cuticle, cortex, and the medulla. So this is the cuticle layer. The cuticle layer is supposed to be closed in order for moisture to stay in your hair, right? This is an open cuticle. All the moisture is just leaving out. No moisture, hair is going to be dry. Hair dry, hair is going to split. The ends are going to split. How do you get rid of split ends? You cut them. So you got a strand of hair. This is the strand of hair right here. And the ends start to split. The ends are splitting up to this point right here. It's just split up to that point at the top. That's the ends, just split, right? If you don't cut it, it's just gonna go oop, 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 open, 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 all the way down, and that's when you see that hair is broken. So sometimes when you see those little pieces of hair in your head, it could possibly have come from the split ends not being repaired by trimming. So if you got split ends and you trim them off, you take that off, and this part, it just kind of like mends the rest of the hair together. That makes sense? So that's how you prevent split ends, by keeping your hair moisturized and keeping your ends trimmed. Keeping your hair moisturized and trimming your ends is how you're going to stop the split ends. In addition to, because now that your hair is dry, In addition, another way of preventing or stopping split ends is by keeping it moisturized. Keeping it moisturized, not constantly being all rough. Treat your hair nicely. It's with TLC. Hair needs TLC. Well, this is not my hair, but y'all know what I mean. Stop all that rough. Stop letting these men pull your hair. No, just kidding. All right, I'm about to go on a tangent into another topic. All right, let's get back onto the topic. Stephanie also says, the problems with dyeing and relaxing hair. So I guess she want to know, like, what's the problem with dyeing and relaxing hair? Like, what are the negative effects that dyeing your hair and relaxing your hair has? Okay, so I'm about to go to school on y'all. So here's the thing about dyeing and relaxing your hair that can cause negative effects. Remember, I keep stressing moisture, right? I keep stressing moisture. So, hair dyes, they have an aniline derivative in it that causes your hair to be dry. Also, hair dyes have a high pH. Our hair pH level is lower than hair dye. So anything that's higher, any pH level that's higher than our hair is going to cause our hair to be dry. Okay? The same thing with relaxers. Relaxers dry your hair out because they have a high pH. Y'all remember some years ago when they started making relaxers that had like butter in it? Like Mizani had a relaxer. It was called, oh gosh, I can't remember. But it was like a butter blend. That's what it is. It was called butter blend. Let me make sure. Mizani butter blend. And that specific Mizani relaxer, let me see. Mizani butter blend relaxer. Yep. It was called Mizani butter blend relaxer. So that specific, when they decided to start doing that because, first of all, more and more African American women were getting away from relaxers because they learned that relaxers is drying out the hair and taking out the hair and things like that. So what Mizani did was they came out with a relaxer that had like moisturizing agents in it. And it was a big seller. It was a big seller because, African American women, like I said, started to become hip to the fact that relaxers dry your hair out, and they wanted an alternative. They didn't want the chemical, but they wanted the alternative. And the alternative was, okay, instead of just leaving relaxers alone altogether, I'm going to try this Mizani butter blend, because the way they promoted it was that it had moisturizing agents in it that is going to also moisturize your hair while relaxing it. Now, how true that is, I don't know. I can't say. I can't say how true it is that it actually worked. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they put in it, it still has sodium hydroxide in it, which is the chemical agent that's present in the chemical, in the relaxer rather, that's causing your hair to be straight. And there's so many things I can go into about sodium hydroxide that I'm not going to go into right now. That's for a whole nother video. I'm gonna get into that another time. So just to recap and answer that question again, Stephanie, the problem with dyeing and relaxing your hair is the fact that both chemicals have drying agents and drying chemicals in it that's going to cause your hair to be dry. And when your hair is dry, it breaks. When your hair is dry, excuse me, when your hair is dry, you get split ends. Okay, so that's that. There's that. All right. Stephanie also asked, well, we've been on here for an hour and 46 minutes. That's not bad. I thought it was going to be longer. So Stephanie also asked, coming out of relaxing your hair, some people experience balding. Please explain this. Now, I've never seen this situation where somebody is coming from a relaxer that they experience balding. But what I will say is the alopecia that I spoke about earlier, which is cicatricial alopecia, that is the relaxers is one of the causes for balding. So I'm not sure if, Stephanie, you think that maybe there's a direct correlation to is a direct correlation between the transition from a relaxer to natural, which is causing the hair to bald. If that's what you're thinking, that's not the case. Transitioning from a relaxer to natural hair is not going to cause your hair to go bald. But what I will say is relaxing your hair can cause cicatricial alopecia. Okay? It can cause cicatricial alopecia. So that's all the questions that I have for this live. Let's see what Latanya's saying. This last question Latanya asked. She said, what do you think about quick weaves? When a person do a quick weave, is there a protector they can put on your hair from the glue damaging your hair? Definitely. I think that quick weaves are fine. I think that any of those things are fine as long as you do it in moderation. You know what I'm saying? Like, the same thing goes for eating certain foods. You know, they say this can cause this and this can cause that, or drinking alcohol. Oh, drinking alcohol can cause, liver disease. You can, you can get cirrhosis of the liver or whatever the case may be. I just think that anything you do and it's not in moderation is going to have some effects on. It's going to have some effects on you, whatever it is that you're doing. As far as quick weaves, I don't see anything wrong with quick weaves. as long as you are protecting that hair from the glue. And again, as long as you're doing it in moderation. Okay. So there are different things that you can put on your hair to protect it from the glue. And there's this product, it's called Morning Glory. That product is really, really good for quick weaves. And you would put that product on your hair after you mold it, after it's molded with the gel. And once the gel hardens from you sitting under the blow dryer, then you would put that Morning Glory on top of the hair and sit that client. That client will then sit under the dryer again so that Morning Glory can dry. And then, you proceed with the next step for your quick weave. So, there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion, if you are doing it in moderation and if you are doing it with protection. So yes, Morning Glory is a product that can be used when you're doing a quick weave. Let's see, does anybody have any more questions? If y'all have any more questions, you can drop it in the chat. If not, I'm gonna get out of here because I've been on here for about 2 hours, darn near 2 hours. Let me highlight the comments on the stream so that if people want to watch the replay, they can see the questions that were being asked from the chat. Right? So I hope this live was helpful to you guys. I hope it was helpful. Yeah, so I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be able to come live and do one of these type of shows. The next time I do it, I think the next time I do it, I'm gonna allow for people to come up on the panel. I'm gonna allow people to come up on the panel and you can just basically talk to me live. Latanya says, does dryness cause thinness to hair? How can I answer that? Does dryness cause thinness to hair? Well, you figure, again, if your hair is dry, it's going to do a lot of shedding. It's going to break. So yes, it can essentially, in essence, it can, when you really think about it, because of what I just said. If your hair is dry, it's going to start to break and shed. And when your hair is shedding, naturally it's going to look thinner. It's going to look thinner when your hair starts shedding. And when I say shedding, I'm talking about like long strands of hair just coming out. So if you got like long strands of hair coming out, that's a clear indication of shedding. And most of the time when your hair starts to shed, right, abnormally, because there is a such thing as normal shedding. I'm speaking of abnormal shedding. And the abnormal shedding, like I said, is the long strands of hair that's just coming out. But when that happens, most of the time it's not happening to where just like a whole patch of hair is just going to come out at one time. Excuse me. The only time something like that, I've seen something like that happen, is if maybe a relaxer or color was on the hair too long, or if somebody dyed their hair and colored it the same day, you're going to have like a big clump of hair that's going to come out. So when the hair is shedding, and you notice it like daily, of course your hair is going to start to look thin. So that thinness is your hair not being, that means that that refers to density. And when your hair doesn't have a lot of density, that means that you don't have a lot of hair per square inch. So yeah, that means that you just shed it out of certain areas of your head, and each square inch of your head just basically lost some hair. Which in turn, y'all know, for example, a good example of hair that is thin. When you can see through it, when you can see through some hair, like for instance, if you lift your hair up and you can just like see right through that hair is thin. That hair is thin because the amount of hair that you have per square inch is very little. Okay? That means you're missing hair. All right? That means you are missing hair. Okay, so how many of y'all enjoyed this live today and would like to see me do more lives like this? I got to do some more lives like this. Again, the next time I'll be able to come live is probably gonna be on it's gonna probably be on a weekend, like a Sunday, like a Saturday or a Sunday, something like that. Because my Thursdays are not gonna be free pretty soon. So I won't be able to do my Thursday noon lives anymore, guys. Once my new schedule starts, then I will have to figure out when the days that are best for me to do these type of lives. But anyway, I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If y'all have any more questions, y'all can just leave them in the comment section below this video. And when I do the next live, I'll try my best to answer any and every question that you guys have for me. And in addition to doing lives like this, where I'm just like basically answering questions and concerns that you have about hair, I'll also be doing lives going into more detail or going into depth on certain things that I discussed today. So stay tuned for those type of lives. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Tap that notification bell next to it. Comment on the video. Like the video. And share. Did I say share? I probably said it already. I'm not sure. I probably said it in the beginning. Even if you can't share it even if you don't have a community tab on YouTube, you can still share this video like with your friends, through text messages, your family members through text messages. You can share it on other platforms like Facebook. Where else? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Facebook. You can DM it to some of your Instagram followers, Snapchat, Twitter. Oh yeah, in addition to that, guys, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm going to put my Instagram name in the chat so you guys can follow me on there. Make sure I typed it correctly. So that's Instagram, and then you can follow me on TikTok at the same thing, Hair with Flair. Right? Follow me on TikTok at Hair with Flair. And you can also follow me on Snapchat at Hair with a Flair. Follow me on all three of those platforms. And once this video is over, I'll also put that information in the description below the video. But that's it right there. My IG is Hair with Flair. TikTok is Hair with Flair. Snapchat is Hair with a Flair. So with that being said, again, thank you all for watching. And remember, hair is your glory. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.